Baby found a German shepherd crying in a graveyard. What happened next? Shocked rescuers. The screen fades in with the sound of wind brushing through dry autumn leaves. The sun is setting behind the farmhouse, casting long shadows across the backyard. Inside, Liam's mum is busy cooking dinner. She calls out, "Liam, stay close to the porch." But Liam, just 2.5 years old, has already wandered past the swing set. His little boots crunch through the leaves as he toddles toward the fence, the one his parents told him never to go near. But something is calling him. Not with words, not even with sound at first. It's a feeling, a pull. He squeezes through, the broken part in the fence, the one hidden behind tall weeds. On the other side is the graveyard, cold, quiet, and nearly forgotten by the town. Liam walks slowly, his tiny hand dragging along an old stone as he stumbles forward. Then he stops, a cry, soft at first, like wind trapped in someone's throat. Then again, a long, shaky, almost human whimper. Liam follows the sound. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't feel fear. Only something he can't name. Something sad. Behind an old oak tree, just beyond a cracked statue of an angel, he sees her, a German shepherd. She's curled up tight, ribs showing, her fur soaked, in mud and patches of dried blood. Her eyes are wide, not wild, just tired, lost. She's not barking, she's not growling, she's just crying. Liam walks closer. He doesn't run, doesn't scream. He just tilts his head and stares at her. "Doggy," he whispers. "Sad?" The dog lifts her head slowly. Her ears twitch. She doesn't move away. Liam, with his chubby fingers, reaches out and gently touches her paw. The dog flinches, but only once. Then something shifts. She lets out a breath, the kind that sounds like letting go. Liam smiles and sits down beside her, his tiny body sinking into the wet leaves. At home, Emily glances out, the window. "Liam," she calls, stepping onto the porch. There's no answer. Her heart skips. She rushes outside, calling louder now. "Liam!" Her voice cuts through the wind. She runs past the swing, sees the broken fence, and freezes. The graveyard. She takes off running, heart racing, stumbling over roots and stones. Then she sees him, sitting calmly beside a big dog, under the tree. Emily gasps, "Liam!" The dog jerks up, standing weakly, as if ready to run. But Liam holds out his arms. "It's okay, doggy. Mommy nice." Emily slows down. The dog stares at her, eyes full of warning, but no hate. She kneels slowly, hands out. "Hey there," she says softly. "I'm not here to hurt you." The dog lowers her head again and collapses beside Liam. Emily puts her arm around her son. "Honey, we need to go home." Liam shakes his head. "Doggy, come." Emily looks at the dog again. It's clear she's been out here for days, maybe weeks. Abandoned. She sighs. Okay, let's bring her home." Emily picks up Liam and walks slowly, glancing back. The dog follows. Not close, but not far either, as if unsure if she's allowed. Back at the farmhouse, Emily places a towel on the porch and pours a bowl of water. The dog stands at the edge of the yard, unsure. Liam claps. "Come, doggy." The dog inches forward, step by step, until she's finally on the porch. She drinks like she hasn't had a sip in days. Emily gently wipes her face with the towel. The dog doesn't move, just leans into the touch. "What happened to you?" Emily whispers. Later that night, after Liam falls asleep, Emily tucks the dog into an old blanket in the laundry room. She picks up her collar, barely hanging on, and notices a small rusted tag. She rubs it clean and squints at the faded letters. One word remains. Hope. Emily smiles sadly. Hope, huh? That fits. Down the hall, Liam stirs and mumbles. Hope. Emily glances back. What did you say? Her name, he says, eyes still closed. Her name is Hope. The wind picks up outside. The porch creaks. Somewhere in the dark, an owl cries out. Inside, Hope lifts her head from the blanket. Her ears twitch. She's not shaking anymore, just listening, watching, waiting. Emily had never run so fast in her life. When she'd seen that broken part of the fence and realized her 2-year-old had wandered into the graveyard, her heart nearly gave out. She had imagined the worst, a snake, a fall, some stranger. But not this, not her son curled beside, a dog that looked half dead. When they got back to the house, she locked the doors and called her husband. He's okay, she said, breathless, but you won't believe what he found. Jason pulled into the driveway 10 minutes later, his shirt still damp with sweat from work. He walked in and saw his wife crouched near a muddy German shepherd, their toddler stroking her gently. She followed him home? Jason asked. Emily nodded. Or he followed her. Hope didn't bark, didn't growl. She just lay there, barely moving, eyes staring at nothing. Jason knelt. She looks rough. Emily showed him the tag. I cleaned it up. Her name's Hope. Jason ran a hand through his hair. We should call animal control. Liam looked up, eyes wide. No, Hope stays. Emily hesitated. The dog was hurt, yes, but there was something in her. Something broken, maybe, but not dangerous. Jason sighed. All right, just for tonight. We'll see in the morning. They set up a small bed for her in the laundry room. Old towels, a bit of leftover chicken, and a shallow bowl of warm water. Hope didn't touch the food, but she did drink. Then she curled into a ball, nose buried under her paw. Jason sat beside Liam on the couch later that night. Where did you find her, bud? Liam shrugged. She was crying. Did she come to you? Liam shook his head. I went to her. Jason looked at Emily. That graveyard's been abandoned since before we moved here. Emily nodded. It gave me chills. She was sitting under the tree near that broken statue. Jason leaned back. We'll take her to the vet tomorrow. Maybe she's chipped. But Liam clung tighter to his dad. She's my doggie now. Emily smiled faintly. Let's see what the vet says first. That night, Hope whimpered in her sleep. Not loud, just soft enough to pull Emily from hers. She walked down the hall and peeked into the laundry room. Hope was twitching, legs kicking slightly, ears flicking. A dream. Emily sat beside her and gently placed a hand on her back. Hope flinched, then slowly relaxed. Whatever you've been through, Emily whispered, you're safe now. In the morning, Jason called the local animal shelter. We found a stray, he said. No bite marks, no aggression, just tired. They scheduled a check-in for noon, but when the van pulled up and the worker stepped out with gloves and a leash, Liam screamed, No! No, take Hope! The worker paused. We just want to check her, buddy. Make sure she's okay. Liam wrapped his arms around Hope's neck. She stays! Hope didn't move. She let the boy cling to her, eyes half closed, as if she already knew what losing someone felt like. Emily pulled the worker aside. Can we keep her, just until she's scanned? The woman looked down at the dog. If you're willing to, sign temporary foster papers, sure. But if there's an owner out there... Emily nodded. Of course. They took Hope to the vet that afternoon. The waiting room smelled like medicine and fur. The vet, an older man with kind eyes, scanned the tag. He frowned. Her name's Hope, all right, but no chip, no ID, no record. He checked her ribs, paws, and eyes. She's about 3 years old. She's underweight. Some old bruising, maybe trauma, but no infections. Liam sat on the floor, swinging his legs. She's my friend, the vet smiled. She's lucky to have you, little guy. On the way home, Emily looked back through the rearview mirror. Hope's head rested on Liam's lap. She's not just any stray, Jason said quietly. Something happened to her. Emily nodded. Something bad. That night, Liam insisted on saying goodnight to Hope before bed. He knelt by her blanket and whispered, "Don't cry anymore, okay? You're home now." Hope licked his hand, just once. It was the first time she'd moved like that. Emily and Jason watched from the hallway. Emily's voice cracked as she whispered, "Her name's Hope, but maybe she's his too." Dinner was quiet that night. Rain tapped gently against the windows while the old farmhouse creaked under the wind. Liam sat at the table, swinging his feet and humming softly, one hand still sticky with applesauce, the other reaching under the table where Hope lay curled at his feet. Jason turned on the TV to check the weather. "Storm's rolling in fast," he muttered. "Could get ugly." Emily glanced out the window. Thick clouds were piling up over the trees. She could already feel the pressure in the air, like the world was holding its breath. Hope lifted her, head, ears flicking. She stood up and walked to the back door, nose pressed against the glass. A low whine escaped her throat. "She okay?" Jason asked. Emily frowned. "I don't think she likes storms." As the first rumble of thunder shook the house, Hope backed away from the door, growling low, her tail tucked between her legs. "It's just thunder," Jason said softly. But Hope didn't hear him. Her breathing turned fast. Her paws paced across the wooden floor, nails tapping in panic. Then the rain hit, hard and fast. Crack! A bolt of lightning tore through the sky, lighting up the yard. Hope jumped and slammed her body against the back door, claws scratching, desperate to get out. "Hope, no!" Emily shouted, rushing toward her. But Hope didn't stop. Her howl pierced the house. Not angry, not wild, just pure fear. "Let her out," Jason said, reaching for the door. "No, wait!" Emily stopped him. "She's not trying to run. She's trying to find something." Hope spun in circles, crying, pushing at the door with her head. Then Liam, holding his teddy bear, walked calmly toward her. "Hope," he said softly. She turned to him, panting hard. Liam sat down right in front of her. He gently put both hands on her face, leaning his forehead to hers. "It's okay," he whispered. "It's just the sky. I'm here." Hope whimpered but stopped pacing. Her body trembled, but she didn't run again. Emily's hand flew to her mouth. Jason stood frozen. "Did you see that?" Emily whispered. Jason nodded. "Yeah, that kid." He calmed her down. The power flickered. Lights dimmed. Another crack of thunder. Hope flinched, but stayed close to Liam. He wrapped his arms around her neck. "You don't have to be scared," Liam whispered. "I'm not scared." Emily knelt beside them. "She's terrified of something." "Maybe storms bring back memories," Jason said. "Bad ones." Hope laid down beside Liam, still shaking. "Let's stay with her," Emily said. They moved pillows and blankets onto the floor. Liam laid beside Hope, one arm around her belly. The storm roared outside. But inside, everything slowed. Hope's breathing started to even out. Her eyes, wide just minutes ago, slowly began to close. Jason whispered, "She's not just calming down. She's letting go." Emily nodded. She trusts him. The power went out completely. Only the glow from a flashlight lit the room now. Liam stirred. "Mommy?" "Yes, baby. Can we keep her forever?" Emily looked at Hope, who now had her head resting on Liam's tiny arm. "If she wants to stay," Emily said softly, "she'll stay." Hope let out a long, deep sigh, like something heavy had just left her chest. Outside, the storm began to fade. The thunder drifted away, but Emily didn't sleep. She stayed on the floor, watching Hope. Every once in a while, the dog twitched. Maybe a dream. Maybe not. Jason dozed off in the armchair, holding the flashlight in one hand. Emily brushed, a hand over Hope's fur. "Whatever happened to you?" she whispered. "We're not going to let it happen again." Hope didn't move, but her tail thumped once, just once. Hours later, the storm passed. Morning sun began to creep through the kitchen curtains. Jason stretched and yawned. Did she sleep? Emily nodded. Eventually, right beside him, Liam was still asleep, his fingers tangled in Hope's fur. She didn't move when he rolled over, just blinked and yawned. Emily smiled. She's different today. Jason looked at the dog and then at their son. So is he. Later that morning, when the lights came back on, Hope walked to the back door again. But this time, she didn't scratch. She just stood and looked out. Liam walked over and opened it slowly. You want to go outside? He asked. Hope stepped out, tail low, but not tucked. The grass was wet and shining. The storm had left branches scattered across the yard. Hope sniffed the air, then lifted her head toward the trees. Emily watched from the kitchen window. She's remembering something, Jason joined her. Yeah, but maybe she's also forgetting a little too. Hope turned back to the porch. Liam sat on the step, barefoot, holding a piece of toast. She walked over, sat beside him, and gently rested her head on his shoulder. He took a bite and offered her the rest. You're not scared now, he said with a smile. Hope took the toast. Careful and slow, Emily wiped her eyes. She's healing, Jason nodded. And so is he. Hope wouldn't touch her food, not the chicken Emily made special, not even the soft bread Liam tried to hand her, his cheeks full of crumbs. She won't eat, Liam said, his voice small. I know, sweetie, Emily replied, watching from the kitchen. I don't think she's sick. It's something else. Hope just stood by the window, tail still, ears sharp, eyes locked on the trees behind the house. The graveyard sat just beyond them, hidden behind wild grass and broken stones. She's been staring out there all morning, Jason said, ever since the storm. Emily looked at her phone, checking the time. Then she grabbed her coat. I'm taking her back. Jason raised an eyebrow. To the graveyard. She's looking for something. I need to know what. Hope didn't need a leash. As soon as Emily opened the door, she moved, slow at first, but with purpose. Liam cried when he saw them leave. Where's Hope going? Emily bent down. We're going to check something, baby. We'll be back soon. Hope led the way, straight through the trees, past the fence Liam had slipped through. The air felt different that day, heavy, like a secret waiting to be told. They stepped into the graveyard. Leaves whispered underfoot. The trees groaned as the wind moved through them. Hope paused near the old angel statue. Then she turned, sniffed the ground, and walked toward a grave Emily hadn't noticed before. It was small, fresh. The dirt was still soft, a little sunken. No flowers, no name, just a wooden stick, broken and splintered, stabbed into the earth. Hope sat down beside it. Her ears drooped. Her chest rose and fell, fast. Then she whimpered. Emily's breath caught. What is this, girl? Hope laid down, her nose touching the dirt. Her body didn't move. She didn't bark. She just stayed there. Emily knelt beside her. Did you know them? She whispered. Hope made a soft sound, not a growl, not a bark, something in between. Emily looked around. No other graves nearby, just this one, hidden between two crooked headstones. She pulled out her phone and snapped a photo. Then she dialed the sheriff's office. Hey, this might sound odd, she began, but we found a dog in the graveyard 2 days ago. She led me to a grave. It looks recent, but it's unmarked. There was a pause. Mum, are you near the old Bramblewood site? Yeah, just behind our property. We'll send someone to take a look. Emily hung up and looked down at Hope. You brought me here for a reason, didn't you? Hope lifted her head slightly. Her eyes were wet. You miss them, Emily whispered. Back at home, Liam pressed his nose to the window. Mommy! Hope! Jason rubbed his back. They'll be back soon, buddy. Half an hour later, a deputy pulled up near the fence. Emily waved him over. Right here, she said, pointing. She led me to it. The man squatted by the grave. Definitely fresh, but there's no record of any burial here in the last year. This site's been closed off for a decade. He pulled out his radio. We'll get forensics out. Something's off. Emily looked at Hope. She was still lying beside the grave, like she was guarding it. Can I take her back home now? Emily asked. The deputy nodded. Yeah, we'll call you if we find anything. Hope didn't move until Emily gently tugged her collar. Then she rose, slowly, eyes still on the dirt. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She kept seeing the grave, the way Hope touched it with her nose, like it meant something. Liam curled up beside her in bed, holding his stuffed bear. Mommy, where did Hope go? She's in the laundry room, baby. She's okay. Liam frowned. She's sad. Emily kissed his head. I know. The next morning, a call came. Mrs. Harper. Yes? This is Deputy Klein. We dug up that grave. Emily sat up. And there were bones, not a full body, just pieces. Some cloth, a shoe. We're sending it to forensics. Emily went quiet. Do you think the dog knew the person? The deputy asked. I don't know, she whispered. But she hasn't eaten in 2 days. Downstairs, Hope lay curled in front of the window. Liam sat beside her, reading aloud, from a picture book. Emily watched them from the hallway. She's holding something in, she whispered, and I think it's killing her. That afternoon, Emily returned to the graveyard alone. She stood beside the spot, now surrounded by yellow tape. She placed a small wildflower on the dirt. For whoever you were, she whispered, you weren't alone. Hope's howl echoed from the distance, long and broken, and Emily, for the first time, felt afraid of what they were about to uncover. Hope had been quiet for 2 days, too quiet. She didn't cry, didn't bark, didn't even look at her food. She just stayed by the window, eyes fixed on the backyard, always toward the woods that led to the graveyard. But on the 3rd day, something changed. A low growl rumbled in her chest. Emily was folding laundry when she heard it, that deep, warning sound no mother ignores. She rushed to the living room. Hope was standing stiff, tail down, body tense, nose pressed to the glass. Outside, a red truck rolled slowly past their house, rusty, loud, and unfamiliar. Hope growled again. Emily stepped beside her. What is it? Girl! The truck crept down the road, then disappeared around the corner. Hope didn't move. Emily felt her skin crawl. That night, she told Jason, it's probably just someone lost, he said, not looking up from his laptop. She growled like she knew him, Emily replied. Jason glanced over. You think it's connected? She's never done that before, and he drove slow. Like, watching us. Jason frowned. We'll keep an eye out. But the truck came back the next day. Same time, same slow crawl. And again, the next. Hope saw it before anyone else. She shot up, teeth bared, growling so loud Liam dropped his cereal spoon. Jason stepped onto the porch this time, arms crossed. The truck didn't stop, but it did slow even more. The driver was a man, middle-aged, dark hat, sunglasses. His window was halfway down. Emily came to the door. The man's head turned. He looked directly at Hope through the glass. She lost it. Barking, snarling, clawing at the window. Liam screamed. Mummy! Jason stepped forward. Hey, can I help you? But the man didn't answer. He just stared for a second longer. Then drove off. Emily slammed the door shut and grabbed her phone. I'm calling the cops. Jason nodded. Do it. The dispatcher answered calmly, asked for details. Emily gave them everything. The truck, the time, the direction it drove off. We'll send a patrol, the voice said. But if he's not doing anything, we can't stop him. Emily's voice shook. My dog is terrified. That man is not just cruising around. She hung up and knelt beside Hope, who was still shaking. Liam wrapped his arms around her neck. "Don't be scared, Hope," he whispered. "He's gone." But Hope didn't calm down. Her breathing was fast, her eyes wild. "She knows him," Emily said. "Whoever he is, she knows him." Jason paced. "What if he's the reason she ended up in that graveyard?" Emily nodded slowly. "What if he's the one who—" She stopped herself. Liam was still in the room. Jason lowered his voice. "We need cameras." That afternoon, Jason set up two, one facing the road, the other pointing at the backyard. "Just in case," he muttered. Hope didn't eat that day. She barely moved from the window. She growled again when a delivery truck passed, but it wasn't the same. No barking, no terror, only the red truck triggered her like that. Emily called the vet. "Is it possible for a dog to remember a person who hurt them?" The vet replied softly. "It's not just possible, it's likely. Dogs don't forget trauma, not when it's that deep." That night, Liam woke up crying. "The man was looking at Hope," he sobbed. Emily rocked him gently. "It's okay. Baby, he's not here now." But Hope didn't sleep. She stood by the door, watching the dark. At 2:17 a.m., the porch camera light clicked on. Jason sat up in bed, blinking. He checked his phone. A notification. Motion detected. He tapped the screen. A shadow at the edge of the yard. It disappeared before the light fully triggered. Jason jumped out of bed. "Someone's been here," he whispered. Emily followed him to the living room. They watched the footage again. "You think it was him?" Jason nodded. "He's checking something. Maybe trying to scare us." Emily looked at Hope. She was alert, ears twitching, body still. "Hope's not just scared," Emily whispered. "She's remembering something she wants to forget." The next day, Emily drove into town. She printed the photo of the red truck they caught on camera. She took it to the local diner, to the gas station, to the mechanic shop. "Have you seen this guy?" One man squinted at the image. "That's Ted Mayer's old truck. He sold it last year to someone from out of town." "Do you know who?" Emily asked. The man shook his head. "No name, just cash." At the grocery store, a clerk recognized the truck too. "He's been coming by a few weeks now, never talks, just buys gas, cigarettes, always wears a cap." Emily thanked them and left. Her hands were shaking as she gripped the wheel. When she got home, Hope met her at the door. "He was here last night," Emily whispered. "Wasn't he?" Hope just lowered her head and whimpered. That night, they locked every window, every door. Jason slept on the couch with a baseball bat. Emily slept with Liam in her bed. Hope lay between them, watching, listening, and outside, somewhere in the dark. The truck waited. The house was still, almost too still. Jason sat on the couch, eyes, heavy baseball bat across his lap. Hope lay at his feet, ears twitching every time the wind tapped the window. Emily had finally gotten Liam to sleep upstairs, after reading him the same story 3 times. "I want Hope to sleep with me," he'd whispered. "She will," Emily promised, brushing his hair. "Just for a little while, she'll stay with Daddy." But Hope wouldn't sleep. She hadn't slept properly in 2 days. Emily came down the stairs quietly. "Anything?" Jason shook his head. "Nothing but wind." Emily walked to the back door and checked the lock. "I hate this feeling. Like he's watching." Hope stood suddenly. Her body stiffened. She stared at the back door, ears straight, tail low. Jason followed her gaze. "What is it, girl?" Hope stepped closer to the door. Her nose twitched. Then she growled. Not loud, deep, almost like a warning just for them. Emily's breath hitched. "You hear that?" Jason held up a hand. "Shh." Then it came. Scratch, scratch, scratch. From the outside. Jason stood slowly, grabbing the bat tight. Hope backed up, still growling. Emily moved toward Liam's baby monitor. "Jason, I know," he said quickly. "I'll check." But Hope blocked the door. She stood in front of it, barking once, sharp, urgent. "Is it him?" "Emily," whispered. Jason looked through the peephole. Nothing, just darkness and wind. But the scratching continued. And then, silence. Hope pressed her nose to the bottom of the door and whined. Jason opened the door a crack. Just enough to peek out. Nothing there. No one on the porch. No footprints in the dirt. But something was wrong. He stepped outside, flashlight in hand. He swept it across the yard. The beam shook slightly as he moved. That's when he saw it. Scratches. Long, deep, raw scratches carved into the back door. Not from claws. From something else. Jason stepped back inside, locking the door tight. "Emily, come see this." She walked over, heart pounding. "Oh my God," she whispered. Hope barked once, then sat down hard, trembling. Liam's voice called faintly from upstairs. "Mommy?" Emily rushed to him. "It's okay, baby. Just a noise." Liam clung to her. Hope scared. Emily nodded. "Just a little, but she's okay." Liam slid out of bed and padded downstairs in his pajamas. He walked over to Hope and sat in front of her. "You're safe now," he said gently. "No more scared." Hope looked at him. Her eyes were glassy. Then she did something she hadn't done before. She lifted her paw and placed it in his hand. Jason felt his throat tighten. "I'll call the sheriff," he muttered, stepping away. The deputy arrived half an hour later, flashlight in hand, rain dripping off his coat. He ran his fingers over the scratches. "Fresh," he said. "Too high for a dog, too jagged for a tool." Emily shivered. "So what did that?" He didn't answer right away. "We'll check the cameras. Maybe it caught something." Inside, Jason rewound the porch cam. But again, nothing. The light triggered once, then shut off. No face, no shadow. "Backyard cam didn't catch a thing," Jason said. "Could have been standing just out of frame," the deputy muttered, "or knew where the cameras were." Emily crossed her arms. "You think someone's doing this on purpose?" "I think someone's messing with you," the deputy replied. "Trying to scare you off." Hope barked again, low and furious. The AE deputy turned. "That dog's seen him, hasn't she?" Emily nodded. "She loses it every time that red truck comes by." He scribbled something on his notepad. "I'll patrol this road myself tonight. You call if anything else happens." After he left, Emily locked every door again. Jason nailed a board across the back door, just in case. Hope sat in front of it like a soldier. Liam refused to sleep alone that night. "Hope too," he said. "She stays with me." Emily let them both curl up in her bed. Hope lay on the edge, one eye open, staring at the window. Jason sat nearby, arms folded, silent. "I don't like this," he said. "I don't either," Emily replied, "but I think it's more than someone messing with us." She looked at Hope. She's not scared of shadows. She's scared of him. That man. Whoever he is. He did something. Liam stirred. "Mommy?" "I'm here, baby." I heard. "The scratches," he whispered. "He's trying to take Hope." Emily's chest tightened. "He's not going to take her." Hope lifted her head. Her ears flicked. The wind howled outside again, but no more scratching came. Not that night. Still, none of them slept. And when the sun came up, they found something new. A single muddy boot print, right under Liam's window. The boot print under Liam's window stayed in Emily's mind like a stain. She took a photo before the wind could erase it, but her heart had already recorded every detail. Later that morning, after Jason went to town and Liam napped, clutching Hope like a teddy bear, Emily slipped on her gloves and grabbed a small gardening spade. She didn't tell anyone where she was going, not even Hope. But the moment Emily opened the back door, Hope lifted her head, stood, and followed without a sound. Emily didn't need directions. Her feet moved like they already knew where to go. Back to that small grave. The wind whistled through the trees, but everything else was silent. Hope walked a few steps ahead, then stopped at the same spot by the broken stick in the ground. She lay down gently, just like before. Emily knelt beside her. "You keep bringing me here," she whispered. "Why?" Hope whimpered. Emily dug slowly. The topsoil was loose, easy to move. She didn't know what she expected. Bones, maybe. Another tag. But after 10 minutes, her fingers hit something hard. She brushed the dirt away carefully. It was a collar. Pink. Faded. Tiny. Her hands trembled. She lifted it gently. It had a small bell and a rusted tag in the shape of a heart. Hope whined louder now. Her body trembled. Emily turned the tag over. No name, just a partial engraving. "Ever stops looking." Hope crawled closer, pressing her nose to the collar. Then she lay her head on the ground, tail thumping once. She was a child, wasn't she? Emily whispered. "You were with her." Hope closed her eyes. Emily's breath caught. She stuffed the collar into her coat pocket and stood. "Come on, girl. We're going to the vet." The clinic was quiet. Hope sat stiffly in the back seat, not looking out the window, not making a sound. Dr. Harvin, the vet who had first seen her, raised his eyebrows as Emily placed the pink collar on the table. "Where did you find this?" he asked. "Same grave," Hope kept going back to. "I dug a little. Found that underneath." He picked it up carefully, as if touching a ghost. "It's a child's collar," he confirmed. "For a small dog or a child's toy. But it might have a chip." Emily blinked. "A chip? In the collar?" "Some parents insert tags into toys or accessories just in case. Let's see." He scanned it once. Nothing. Then again. Beep. Emily froze. Dr. Harvin stared at the screen. It pinged. He clicked through the scanner's small menu. His expression shifted from surprise to concern. "What is it?" Emily asked. The vet didn't speak for a moment. Then he turned the screen toward her. "The chip is registered to a missing child. Ava Reynolds, age 6. Went missing 6 months ago." Emily's knees almost gave out. "Oh my God." Dr. Harvin nodded slowly. The collar was hers, no doubt. And Hope? He looked at the dog. She wasn't chipped, but the dates line up. The description, the breed. "I think this is her." Emily covered her mouth. So she was Ava's dog. Hope sat by the exam table, ears, back, eyes full of something that looked like apology. Emily knelt and took her face in her hands. "You tried to protect her, didn't you?" Hope leaned forward and gently licked her cheek. Emily stood. "I have to call the police." An officer arrived an hour later. He examined the collar, took photos, and made notes. "This is a break in the Reynolds case," he said. "But we still need confirmation." Emily told him everything. The grave, the man in the truck, the scratches. The officer frowned. "We had a lead 6 months ago. Ava went missing after being pulled out of school. No clear custody records. Her stepfather vanished the same week." Emily's heart dropped. "Was he driving a red truck?" The officer's eyes widened. "You've seen him?" Emily nodded, slowly. "He's been circling our block. Hope goes wild every time he does." The officer sighed. "If he's nearby, he might know someone's onto him." "She never barked like that until she saw him," Emily said. "That fear. It's different." The officer jotted something down. "We'll reopen the case, and we'll keep a car posted near your house, day and night." Emily glanced at Hope, who was now sitting quietly beside Liam in the waiting room. "She led me to her," she said softly. "She never stopped." That night, Emily sat by the window while Liam slept. Hope sat at her feet. Emily whispered, "You remembered her, even after all that time." Hope laid her head on Emily's lap, and for the first time since she arrived, She wagged her tail. Just once. But it was enough. The house was quiet that night, but Emily couldn't sleep. Not after what she'd learned at the vet. She sat alone in the living room, the glow of the porch light spilling in through the window. Her fingers kept tracing the heart-shaped tag from the pink collar, its edges worn smooth by time. Across from her, Hope lay curled on the rug, eyes open, breathing slow. She hadn't moved much since the vet confirmed it. Hope was Ava's dog, and Ava was still missing. Emily whispered, "You didn't run away. You stayed behind." Hope lifted her head, just slightly, as if hearing a voice from the past. Emily closed her eyes, thinking of the little girl's name. Ava Reynolds, 6 years old, vanished without a trace. She opened her laptop and typed into the search bar, "Ava Reynolds, missing girl, news." Dozens of articles popped up. One by one, she clicked through them. 6-year-old Ava Reynolds disappears from stepfather's home. Blood-stained dog found near abandoned lot. Authorities search for clues. Custody battle might be linked to disappearance, police say. Emily leaned forward, heart pounding. There were photos. Ava with a wide grin, gap in her front teeth. And beside her, Hope, just a bit younger, clean and bright-eyed. Jason walked into the room, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "You're still up?" "I found her," Emily said quietly. "Ava. I found her story." Jason sat beside her and read the headlines. "Her stepfather," Emily said, voice trembling. "He took her from school without telling anyone. Claimed he had custody. 3 days later she was gone, and Hope showed up in an alley in the next town, covered in blood." Jason's jaw clenched. "That's the same man?" Emily nodded. "It has to be. The one in the truck." Jason stared at the screen. "The cops said he vanished." Emily pointed to the collar. "He didn't vanish. He hid. And now he's back." Upstairs, Liam stirred in his sleep. Hope rose instantly, heading toward the stairs. "She knows something," Jason whispered. "She's the only one who saw what happened." "She tried to protect Ava," Emily said. "Whatever happened that night, Hope was there." Jason leaned back. "So why come back now?" Emily shook her head. "Maybe he's looking for the dog. Maybe he doesn't know she's still alive. Or maybe he does." The next morning, the sheriff came to the house. He had a file in hand and tired eyes. "Emily, Jason, I need to talk to you about Ava Reynolds." They invited him in. He placed the file on the table and opened it. "The pink collar you found matches the one Ava was wearing the day she went missing. And the chip confirms she was within 2 miles of here after she disappeared." Emily asked, "And the stepfather?" "Did you ID him?" The sheriff nodded. "Name's Ronald Tate, criminal history sealed after juvenile records. Married Ava's mother 2 years ago. Divorced a year later. He was awarded temporary custody during a messy court fight. Ava's mother hadn't seen her since." Jason said, "So he just vanished." 3 towns searched. Cameras, posters, everything. Nothing. Then Hope, the dog, showed up. The trail went cold. Emily swallowed hard. But Hope came back. She found her way to that grave. She never left it, the sheriff said. That's what's remarkable. Most dogs wander, they move on, but she stayed there, waiting for someone to notice. Jason asked, "And the grave? The remains?" "We're testing the bones," the sheriff said. "But they're too small to confirm visually. Could be animal, could be human. It'll take a few days." Emily's voice cracked. "I think she buried Ava's things. That collar wasn't lost. She put it there." Hope sat by the door, her ears low, eyes locked on the woods behind the house. "She's trying to help," Emily whispered. The sheriff stood. "If Ronald Tate is watching this house, we'll find him." Later that day, Hope barked sharply at the front window. Jason rushed to her side. The red truck again. It passed slower than ever. The driver didn't even pretend this time. He looked right at them, right at Hope. Hope exploded with fury. Her bark was raw, primal, the kind that came from memory and fear. Jason grabbed his phone, snapping a picture. "Got his face," he said. "Finally." Emily dialed the sheriff. "He just passed again. We got a clear photo." "Send it to me," the sheriff replied. "We're putting out a notice now." That night, Hope didn't sleep. She paced near Liam's door, circling again and again. Emily whispered, "You think he's coming back, don't you?" Hope stared at the window. She didn't blink. Emily sat beside her and held her paw. "If he does, we'll be ready." Upstairs, Liam was asleep, hand resting on Hope's worn collar like it was a lifeline. And just before dawn, Hope walked back to the window one more time. She stared into the dark woods, and for the first time since she arrived, she growled not with fear, but with purpose. Hope stood like a statue by the front door. She hadn't moved in 20 minutes, eyes locked on the street outside. Jason had already seen the red truck creep by twice that morning. Emily was on the phone with the sheriff. "He's circling again," she whispered. "Same time, same route. Hope's watching him every second." The sheriff's voice was calm, but urgent. "We're ready. The detective in charge of Ava's case is reopening the file. He'll be there within the hour." Emily looked at Hope. "And what about her?" "She's evidence now," the sheriff said quietly. "We have to bring her in." Emily's stomach dropped. "What?" "She's the only witness to whatever happened out there. If she stays in your home and something happens, we lose everything. Please, Emily. Just until we have answers." When the call ended, Emily broke the news to Jason first. "They're taking her," he said. "Now? They say she'll be safe, just for a little while." Jason shook his head. "Try telling that to Liam." Upstairs, Liam was sitting on the floor, building a puzzle. Hope lay beside him, her paw resting gently on his leg. Emily knelt down. "Honey, some people are coming soon. They need to take Hope for a little bit." Liam looked up, confused. "Why?" "They think she might help them find the bad man," she said carefully. "To help another little girl." Liam blinked, then hugged Hope tightly. "But she's my doggie." "I know," Emily whispered, her voice cracking. "Just for a little while. You'll see her again, I promise." Minutes later, 2 detectives pulled into the driveway. The older one introduced himself as Detective Marlowe. He had silver hair, a notepad in hand, and a kind but tired face. He crouched near Hope. She didn't growl, didn't bark, she just stared at him. "She's alert," he said. "Guarding. She remembers everything." The younger detective stayed near the car, watching the road. Emily stood near the porch. "She's not aggressive. She's protective." Marlowe nodded. "We're not here to hurt her. We just need her close while we go through the evidence. She might help us understand what happened to Ava." Then he turned to Liam. "Hi there, buddy. I'm Marlowe." Liam clutched Hope's fur. "You can't take her." "I know you love her," Marlowe said gently. "And I think she loves you too. But she might be our hero." "You know what a hero is?" Liam sniffled. "Someone who helps people." "That's right," Marlowe smiled. "And she might help us find the truth about Ava." Liam looked down at Hope. "You're a hero." Hope licked his cheek once. Emily wiped her eyes. "We'll bring her to the station, on our own terms." Marlowe nodded. "That's fair." Jason loaded Hope into the back seat. She didn't fight it. She just stared out the window, ears perked. As they turned down the main road, the red truck appeared again. It was parked this time, just sitting there. Hope's body tensed. Her eyes narrowed. She barked once, sharp and fast. Marlowe turned from the front seat. "That him?" Jason nodded. "Every day, same truck, same time." Marlowe wrote something down. "We'll track it. If she reacts that strongly, it's not random. At the station, Hope was given a quiet corner in the main office. Blankets, water, a toy. She didn't touch any of it. She sat beside the window, watching, waiting. The detective spread files across the table. Photos, maps, reports. Emily leaned in. Do you think she saw what happened to Ava? Marlowe nodded slowly. I do, and I think she stayed alive so someone could hear her side of the story, Jason asked. So what now? We revisit everything, Marlowe replied. Where Ava was last seen, where Hope was found, and where she returned to. That grave. He opened a folder, INSEE. Inside was a photo of Ava, smiling with 2 missing front teeth. Her arms were around Hope's neck. Liam walked over and pointed. That's her. Emily knelt. You remember her? She comes in my dreams, Liam said softly. She talks. To Hope. Marlowe blinked, surprised. What does she say? Liam shrugged. She says, don't forget me. No one spoke for a long moment. Marlowe cleared his throat. We're going to bring the stepfather's photo to the station tomorrow. Let's see if Hope reacts. Outside the window, a cloud passed over the sun, casting a shadow across the floor. Hope stood suddenly. She stared straight ahead, ears rigid. Emily turned toward the window. The red truck. Driving past the station. Hope barked, loud, fast, urgent. Jason stepped to the glass. He's taunting us. Marlowe grabbed his radio. Get that plate, now. As the truck vanished into traffic, Hope slowly lay down again, but her eyes never left the road. She hadn't forgotten, and she never would. The night felt wrong before it even began. Emily couldn't shake the feeling, that crawling unease like something was watching the house from the dark. Hope had been restless all day, pacing near the back door, barking at every snap of a twig. Even Liam noticed. Hope's ears are doing the twitchy thing again, he said, clutching his toy flashlight. Jason checked every lock twice, made sure both cameras were working. It's probably nothing, he said, but his voice didn't match his words. Emily stayed downstairs after putting Liam to bed. Hope refused to leave the hallway. She lay right outside Liam's door, unmoving, eyes fixed on the shadows beyond the staircase. At 1:12 a.m., the silence shattered. Crash. Glass exploded from the back window. Emily screamed. Jason jumped out of bed. Hope lunged, a growl so loud and fierce it didn't sound like her. A shadow climbed through the broken glass, boots hitting the kitchen floor. Hope collided with him mid-step, barking, biting, fury unleashed. The man grunted and swung something, a crowbar, knocking Hope sideways into a cabinet. She yelped but scrambled back up, bleeding now, eyes locked on him. Emily grabbed Liam from his bed as he cried, "What's happening, Mummy?" Jason ran toward the noise, yelling, "Get out of my house!" The man moved fast, too fast. He shoved Jason against the fridge. Then he turned. His face was visible now. It was him, the man from the truck. Ronald Tate. Hope bared her teeth and launched again. She bit into his arm, clinging with everything she had. Blood poured down her snout. Tate swung wildly, smashing her against the counter. She didn't let go. Jason grabbed the bat from behind the door. "Let her go!" He struck Tate across the back. Tate roared, twisting and trying to free himself from Hope's jaws. Emily had barricaded herself in Liam's room, dialing 911 with shaking hands. "There's a man in our house," he broke in. "Our dog's fighting him. Stay where you are," the dispatcher said. "Help is on the way." Downstairs, it was chaos. Glass crunching, growling, cursing. The sound of bodies hitting furniture. Then suddenly, silence. Jason stood over Tate, breathing hard, bat raised. Tate was on the floor, bleeding from his shoulder and arm, trying to crawl backward toward the door. Hope limped over to Liam's door and sat down, blocking it, blood dripping from her leg. She didn't bark now. She just watched. Guarded, The police arrived within 5 minutes. Guns drawn, flashlights, everywhere. Emily rushed down the stairs holding Liam. "He's inside! He's inside!" They stormed the kitchen and found Tate, on the floor, moaning, unable to move. Hope didn't budge, even as they arrested him. One officer knelt beside her. "Easy, girl. You did good." She let him touch her, just barely. Paramedics checked her wounds. Deep gash along her ribs, bleeding paw, cracked tooth. "She saved our son," Emily whispered. Jason sat against the wall, head in his hands. She didn't even think twice. Liam stepped forward, tears streaking his face. He placed his hand gently on Hope's head. "You're my hero," he whispered. Hope closed her eyes. Detective Marlowe arrived just after 3 a.m. He stared at the shattered window, the blood, the chaos. "He came to finish it," he said grimly, "to make sure the past stayed buried." Jason nodded. Hope didn't let him. One officer approached with a piece of paper. "You need to see this. We found it in his truck." It was a map, the house circled in red, a name scribbled at the bottom. Hope. Emily's voice shook. "He came for her." Marlowe's jaw tightened. She knew it all along, every bark, every stare. She was warning you. They took Ronald Tate into custody. He barely spoke, but his fingerprints matched those from Ava's case. Hope was taken to the emergency vet. Emily stayed by her side the whole time. "She's going to be okay," the vet said. "She fought hard. She's strong." Liam brought his blanket and laid it over Hope. "So she's warm." Hope licked his hand. Later that morning, Marlowe returned with news. "Tate confessed," he said. "Not the full story, but enough." Emily braced herself. He admitted he took Ava, got angry when she tried to run, said she was too loud, claimed he didn't mean to hurt her, buried her near the graveyard, left Hope behind. Jason clenched, his fists. And Hope never left her. "She stayed for months," Marlowe nodded, "waiting, until Liam found her." Emily looked at Hope, bandaged and tired, but alive. She carried that memory like a weight, she said. "And now, it's done." Marlowe smiled gently. "She's not just a dog. She's a witness, a survivor." Hope stirred. Her tail thumped once, and in that moment, they all understood. She had never been broken. She had been waiting for justice. And now, it had come. Detective Marlowe sat across from Ronald Tate in the interrogation room. The air was thick with silence. One light overhead, one camera recording. The man barely looked up. His shirt was stained with dried blood, not his own, and a scratch ran across his jaw where Hope had landed her last bite. "She's just a dog," Tate muttered. Marlowe didn't blink. "She remembered you. After 6 months, she didn't hesitate." Tate chuckled coldly. "Loyal mutt. Should have gotten rid of her too." Marlowe leaned forward, voice low. "But you didn't. You let her live. Why?" Tate stared at the wall. "Because I panicked. That's why. You ever have a moment where everything goes wrong so fast you can't fix it? That was mine." Marlowe opened the folder in front of him. Inside were pictures. Ava, smiling in her school uniform. Hope beside her, tongue out, ears up. And then, the shallow grave. "We know she tried to run," Marlowe said. "We just don't know what happened when she did." Tate's lips tightened. His hand tapped the metal table, fingers twitching. "You want the story?" he muttered. "Fine, I'll give you the story." Back at the Harper house, Emily sat on the couch, holding the phone tight to her ear as Marlowe relayed the confession, in real time. Jason stood behind her, one hand gripping her shoulder. In the corner of the room, Liam sat with Hope, her side bandaged, her paw wrapped. She was still weak, but alert. Her ears perked every time Emily whispered Ava's name. Marlowe's voice came through the phone, calm but heavy. "He said it was an accident," the detective explained. "Ava got scared when he yelled. She grabbed a bag, tried to run with. Hope! He chased her through the trees. She tripped, hit her head on a stone. Emily's voice cracked. And then? He didn't call anyone, Marlowe replied. He buried her that night, thought it would end there. Jason closed his eyes. And Hope. She wouldn't leave the spot. He tried to pull her. She bit him. He beat her. Thought she'd die. But she crawled away. Emily covered her mouth. She crawled all the way back to that grave. She never left it, Marlowe said. She guarded it. Through storms, through hunger. She kept her promise. In the living room, Hope laid her head on Liam's lap. He stroked her fur softly. You found her, didn't you? He whispered. You stayed with her. Hope closed her eyes. Marlowe continued. Tate said he saw your story on the news, saw Hope in the background. That's when he started circling your street. Emily's eyes filled with tears. He came back to finish the job. Yes, Marlowe said, but Hope didn't let him. At the station, Marlowe shut the file and looked Tate in the eye. She didn't forget you, not 1 second. She held on to it. And now, we've got you. Tate leaned back in the chair, defeated. She's just a dog, he repeated. No, Marlowe said, standing up. She's the reason you're going to prison. The next day, the forensic team confirmed the remains found beneath the graveyard were indeed Ava Reynolds. DNA from her baby tooth matched the sample her biological mother had provided. Emily got the call while sitting beside Hope's bed. She's been found, Marlowe said, and we're telling the world how. Jason turned on the news that night. The screen lit up with the headline, Dog leads family to missing girl's grave, killer confesses. Reporters stood outside the courthouse as Ronald Tate was escorted. Inside, in cuffs, the anchor's voice was soft. A German shepherd named Hope, once thought to be a stray, is now being called a hero. Emily wiped a tear. Liam pointed at the screen. That's our Hope. Hope didn't bark. She just watched. Quietly. The anchor continued. Authorities say the dog never left the scene of the crime, guarding the child's grave for months. She was later found by a toddler named Liam Harper, and her journey back to the truth began. Hope's name was now everywhere. Social media flooded with messages, photos of her curled beside Liam, artwork from children, letters from strangers calling her brave and loyal. But for Emily, none of it compared to one thing. Hope had kept a promise no one heard. To a little girl who never got the chance to speak. That night, Emily tucked Liam into bed. Mommy, he whispered. Does Ava know? Emily kissed his forehead. I think she does, baby. I think she's smiling right now. Downstairs, Hope rested beside the front door, watching, guarding, always remembering. And this time, she slept peacefully, because the truth was out, and Ava had finally been heard. The digging began before sunrise. Detective Marlowe stood at the edge of the graveyard, flashlight in hand, boots sinking into the damp ground. The forensic team moved quietly, respectful of the moment. No media, no crowds, just the sound of shovels cutting into soil that had already been disturbed once. Hope watched from a distance. Jason held her leash loosely, but she didn't pull, she just stared. The same spot she had led Emily to, the same spot she'd guarded all those silent, painful months. Emily stood beside Jason, arms folded, breath shaky. This is where she stayed, she whispered, all that time. The ground gave way easier than expected. The top layer was soft. Beneath it, packed clay and damp roots. A few minutes later, one of the diggers paused. I found something. Marlowe stepped in. What is it? A corner of a backpack, the man said, brushing it carefully. It's small, child size. Emily covered her mouth, her eyes already wet. Hope stood now, ears lifting, nose twitching. The team unearthed it gently, The fabric was faded but pink, covered in faint rain stains and specks of dried mud. A unicorn patch was still barely visible on the flap. Jason whispered, "That's hers, that's Ava's." They laid it on a cloth, unzipped it slowly. Inside, folded papers, a pink eraser, a broken pencil. But one thing stopped everyone. A photograph. 2 figures, Ava and Hope. The little girl smiling wide, arm wrapped around the dog's neck. Hope's ears stood tall, tongue hanging out, eyes full of life. And at the bottom of the photo, scribbled in crayon, were the words, "If anything happens to me, she'll tell you." Emily sobbed quietly. She tried to warn us, before it even happened. Marlowe stared at the photo for a long moment. Then he gently slid it into a plastic evidence sleeve. "She knew," he whispered. "That little girl knew something was wrong." "She trusted Hope to protect her," Jason said. "And Hope, she never gave up." One of the techs stepped forward again. "We found the remains. It's her. The size, the clothing, it matches." Emily knelt down slowly beside Hope. The dog lowered her head. Emily touched her gently. "You led us here. You brought her home." Hope whined softly and laid her head in Emily's lap. Her body trembled, not in fear, but in release. She had done her job. Later that afternoon, the news broke. Breaking: remains of missing girl. Ava Reynolds discovered in local graveyard. Beloved dog led detectives to burial site. The town reacted fast. Candles at the edge of the cemetery, flowers placed by the old oak, people coming together to mourn a girl they'd never truly known, and to honor a dog who never gave up on her. Hope's name trended online again, not as a victim, but as a hero. That night, Marlowe returned to the Harper home. He handed Emily the evidence sleeve. "The family's giving you this," he said. "They said Ava would have wanted Hope to keep it." Inside was the photo. Emily stared at it for a long time, then passed it to Liam. "Who's that?" he asked, pointing at the smiling girl. "That's Ava," Emily said gently. "She was Hope's first best friend." Liam looked at the crayon writing. "She said Hope would tell us." Emily nodded. "And she did." Liam crawled over to Hope and held the photo near her face. "I know you miss her," he whispered. "It's okay. We'll keep her safe now." Hope licked his hand once and leaned into his chest. Across town, Ava's biological mother, Angela, wept in the sheriff's office when she saw the photo. Her hands shook as she touched her daughter's. Handwriting for the first time in over a year. She was scared, she said through tears. She knew what he was like, and she still tried to be brave. Marlowe placed a hand on her shoulder. And her dog never left her side, even after it was too late. Angela closed her eyes. "Can I see her? The dog?" "I'll arrange it," he said. "Soon." Back at the farmhouse, Jason tucked Liam into bed. "You were really brave too," he said softly. Liam nodded. "I just followed Hope. She knew what to do." Downstairs, Emily placed the photo in a small frame and set it on the mantel. Hope lay nearby, finally asleep, her body curled tight, her breathing deep and calm. No more pacing, no more barking, just peace. The kind that only comes when the truth finally rises from the dirt, when justice begins to bloom, and when a girl's final words, scribbled in crayon, become the voice that saves her story. The day Hope was taken felt like the sun had stopped rising. 2 officers arrived with soft voices and gentle hands. "Just for a few days," they said. "She needs a full evaluation, evidence protocol." Emily nodded slowly. She knew it wasn't punishment. Hope wasn't in trouble. But try explaining that to a 4-year-old boy. Liam stood by the doorway, pajamas still rumpled from sleep. "Where are they taking her?" Emily knelt. "They just want to make sure she's okay, baby. She'll come back soon." But Hope sensed something was different. She didn't wag her tail. didn't move from Liam's side until the officer gently clipped on a leash. She looked back at Emily, then at Liam. "Hope." "No." Liam whimpered. She stepped forward, licking his cheek once before being guided out the door. Her eyes never left him. Liam screamed, "Don't take her! She's not bad, she's my friend." Emily wrapped her arms around him as the patrol car pulled away. "I know, sweetheart, I know." That night, Liam didn't eat. He pushed away his favourite dinner, chicken nuggets, applesauce, even the little marshmallows in his cocoa. "Maybe if I eat nothing," he said quietly, "they'll bring her back faster." Emily blinked away, tears. "Oh, honey, she wouldn't want you to be sad." "She's all alone," he whispered. "She's going to think we forgot." Emily stayed with him that night. He clutched Hope's blanket, refusing to sleep in his bed. He curled up in the laundry room instead, where Hope used to sleep. At the shelter, Hope didn't bark, didn't growl. She just lay in the corner of her kennel, nose against the wall. The vet checked her bandages. Her wounds were healing, but something deeper wasn't. "She's not eating," the vet told Emily over the phone. "She barely moves." Emily's voice cracked. "Can I come see her?" "I'm sorry." "Not yet," the vet said gently. "But I promise. I'll sit with her. I'll tell her you asked." Emily drove to the shelter anyway the next morning, carrying Liam's drawing, a crayon picture of Hope with a heart and the words, "Come home soon." She begged at the front desk, her voice shaking. "Please, just let her smell something familiar. She thinks we left her." One of the techs agreed. They brought the drawing to Hope's kennel and taped it to the outside of her gate. Hope didn't move. Until nightfall. That's when she crawled toward it, nose twitching. She sniffed the paper gently and let out a soft whine. Back home, Liam was quieter than usual. He stared at the TV but didn't laugh. He didn't run through the halls. He didn't ask for his cartoons. Emily tucked him in again with Hope's blanket. "Do you think she's mad at me?" he asked. "No," Emily said, brushing his hair. "She loves you. But she's not here. She's just hurting. Like you are." He nodded, eyes full of tears. "Is she crying too?" Emily thought for a moment. Then she said softly, "Yes. She misses you so much." The next morning, Emily called the shelter again. "She's not improving," the vet said quietly. "It's not physical. She's mourning." Emily clutched the phone tight. "Can I visit now, please?" At the highest, vet paused. Then, "Come at noon, just you. One visit." When Emily arrived, they led her back quietly. Hope was lying in the same corner, head down, eyes dull. But the moment she smelled Emily, something flickered. Hope's head rose. Her ears twitched. Emily knelt outside the kennel. "Hey, girl," she whispered. Hope let out a shaky breath. Then she stood, slowly, and walked over, pressing her forehead against the gate. Emily placed her hand to the bars. "Liam misses you so much. He's not eating. He cries every night." Hope let out a soft, painful whimper. Her tail moved. Barely, but it moved. "She didn't forget," Emily whispered. "She just hurts." She stayed there for nearly an hour. She talked. She cried. She promised they'd be back together soon. Before leaving, she placed a small piece of Liam's blanket in Hope's bed, the one she used to sleep on. That night, for the first time in days, Hope ate. Not much, but enough. And at home, Liam ate too, just a few spoonfuls of cereal. He even smiled, just a little. "She knows I miss her," he said. "She'll come home." Emily kissed his cheek. "Soon, baby. Very soon. Because even heroes, sometimes, need time to heal." By the end of the week, the town was no longer quiet. News of Ava's story had spread far beyond the local paper. Television crews arrived. Reporters stood at the edge of the graveyard, holding microphones and blinking back. "Tears, a child lost, and a dog who never forgot," one headline read. They called Hope the dog who remembered. People from the next town, from counties over, even strangers who had never set foot in Bramblewood, began to arrive. It started with a single candle. Someone left it beneath the old oak tree where Hope had first been found, flickering gently beside a photograph of Ava taped to the bark. Then came the flowers, pinks, purples, soft yellows, then the teddy bears. Dozens of them, lined up beneath the tree, their button eyes staring up at the sky. Ava's memory wasn't fading anymore. It was growing. On the second day, a woman knelt beside the grave with her young daughter. She placed a small music box in the grass. She would have liked this, she whispered. On the third day, school children arrived in rows, each carrying a hand-drawn card. Most showed Ava holding hands with Hope. Smiling in crayon and glitter, Emily stood at the edge of the crowd, Liam clinging to her leg. "She's famous now," Liam whispered, "like a hero on TV." Emily knelt beside him, because she never gave up on her friend. Hope wasn't at the site yet. She was still under medical observation, cleared for release. But the vet wanted to wait until the crowds faded. But the people didn't want to wait. They began asking for her. They left notes addressed to her. One read, "Dear Hope, thank you for remembering when no one else did." Another, "You gave her a voice, and you never stopped trying." Emily visited the site daily, updating the town on Hope's recovery. "She's healing," she told a group of reporters. "But she's tired. She carried a story no one else could, and it wore her down." A small vigil was organized. No speeches, no big ceremony, just light. That night, over 300 candles flickered under the oak. The townspeople stood silently, heads bowed. And someone, no one knew who, began to sing, softly, just a child's lullaby. Others joined. And for a moment, it felt like Ava was right there among them. Jason stood beside Emily. "I never thought this place would feel so full of love," he whispered. Emily nodded. She changed something. Both of them did. The next morning, Marlowe called Emily personally. "It's time," he said. "Bring Hope home." Hope's return wasn't announced. No news crews, no reporters, just family. Liam was waiting at the door in his pajamas, eyes wide. As soon as the car pulled in, he ran barefoot across the porch. "Hope!" he yelled. Hope stepped out of the back seat slowly, bandages mostly gone, body thinner, but her tail wagged the moment she saw him. She limped as she ran to him. Liam dropped to the ground, wrapping his arms around her neck. "You came back! You came back!" Emily blinked through tears. Jason crouched beside them. "Welcome home, girl." That evening, they brought her to the oak tree. Hope stood still for a long time, nose lifted into the wind. Then she walked forward, weaving through flowers and candles, until she reached Ava's photo. She sat, no barking, no crying, just sat. A hush fell over the people who had gathered nearby. Hope lifted her head toward the tree, as if remembering a sound that only she could hear. Emily knelt beside her and whispered, "She knows, girl. She knows what you did." The mayor stepped forward, clearing his throat. "This town has had its share of silence, but this dog," she reminded us what loyalty means, what memory can do, and what love, real, selfless love, looks like. He placed a plaque beneath the tree. "In honor of Ava Reynolds." And the dog who remembered, Hope, didn't move. Her eyes were soft, not sad, not scared, just still. As if finally the world had said the words she had been trying to bark all along. That night, Liam placed a drawing on the mantel at home. It was a picture of Ava, Hope, and himself, hand in paw. Underneath, he'd written in crooked letters, "Hope never forgot." And now, We never will. The letter came in a plain white envelope. No return address, no stamp. Just hand-delivered to the sheriff's office by a quiet courier who said only, "It's from her real mother." Detective Marlowe read it once, then twice. He sat still for a long time afterward, then called Emily. "There's something you should see," he said. Emily arrived that afternoon. Marlowe handed her the letter, his voice softer than usual. "It's from Ava's biological mother. Her name is Angela." Emily opened the envelope and unfolded the paper, her hands trembling. The handwriting was neat, careful, like every word had been chosen slowly. To the family who took in Hope. "My name is Angela Reynolds. I am Ava's mother. Lost custody 3 years ago. I made mistakes. I trusted the wrong man. I thought giving her a chance at stability meant doing what the court said. I never imagined he would take her away forever. I didn't even know where they moved. He never called, never answered. I spent months sending letters that came back, unopened. The courts didn't help. The police gave up, and the news stopped reporting. Until now, until I saw her name on TV, until I saw Hope, that dog, my baby's best friend. She's the one who told the truth, isn't she? Please, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't want anything but one thing. Can I meet the dog who stayed with my daughter when no one else did? I want to thank her. I want to see the last part of Ava that's still alive. Please, just one visit." With hope, Angela Emily wiped her eyes. "She's not asking for much." Marlowe nodded. "We ran background checks. Angela's clean. She's been living quietly in a small town in Michigan, works at a diner, no other children. Never stopped asking about Ava." "Do we tell Hope?" Emily asked, half smiling through tears. Jason agreed immediately. "She deserves to meet her." A week later, Angela arrived by bus. She stepped onto the station sidewalk with nothing but a purse and a small photo album clutched tightly to her chest. Emily met her first. "You're Angela?" Angela nodded. Her eyes were tired, her hands shaking. "It still doesn't feel real." They drove in silence through the town. When they reached the farmhouse, Angela gasped at the candles still flickering under the oak. "She really meant that much to everyone?" "She still does," Emily said. "But Hope was her voice." Angela stepped out of the car slowly. "Where is she?" Jason opened the door. Hope was lying on the rug beside Liam, both of them watching. Cartoons. When the door opened, Hope stood up, alert, cautious. Angela knelt immediately. "Hi, sweetheart," she whispered. Hope didn't bark. She didn't move. Angela pulled a folded photo from her purse and held it out, the same one the detectives had found in Ava's backpack. "You remember this, don't you?" Hope took one step forward, then another. Her nose touched the photo gently. Then, without sound, she pressed her head into Angela's chest. Angela broke. She sobbed into Hope's fur, her hands clutching the dog like she was holding her daughter again. "You stayed with her," she whispered. "You didn't let her be alone. Thank you. Thank you." Liam walked over and stood beside them. "Are you Ava's mum?" he asked. Angela nodded, wiping her eyes. "Yes, sweetie, I am." "She drew pictures of you," Liam said. Hope kept one under the tree. Angela smiled through tears. She always did love drawing. Emily stood by the stairs, watching as something unspoken passed between woman and dog. Hope laid down beside Angela, tail thumping once, eyes full of peace. For the next hour, they sat together. Angela told stories about Ava, how she used to pretend Hope was a queen, how she once shared her peanut butter sandwich with her even though she hated the crusts. Hope listened, still, present. Angela kissed the top of her head. "You were the only one who stayed." Emily placed a hand on Angela's shoulder. "You're welcome to visit any time." Angela looked up. "I don't think I'll stay long, but I needed this. I needed to meet the part of my daughter that the world almost forgot." Hope rested her head on Angela's lap. Her tail wagged again, and for the first time since Ava disappeared, Angela smiled. The sky was soft grey the morning Angela asked to go back, to the place where it all began. I need to see it, she told Emily. I need to say goodbye, where she really was. Emily nodded gently. Hope can come with us. She'll show the way. Hope stood at the back door as if she already knew. She hadn't been to the graveyard since the vigil, since the town's mourning had spilled over in flowers and light. But now she didn't hesitate. Angela, wearing her daughter's favourite colour, soft pink, stepped into the yard. The wind tugged at her jacket as she placed one hand on Hope's back. Take me there, she whispered. They walked slowly, Emily and Jason hanging back with Liam, who clutched his mum's hand tightly. The trees swayed above, leaves rustling, like distant whispers. Hope moved with quiet purpose. No limp now, no fear, just memory guiding her steps. They reached the oak in silence. Candles had burned down, now only wax puddles. The stuffed animals were a little weathered, rain-soaked and sagging, but they still stood guard like Ava's tiny army. Angela's knees gave out as she reached the grave. She fell gently, hands in the dirt, face tilted to the sky. And Hope didn't hesitate. She walked right to her. Angela wrapped her arms around Hope's neck, pressing her face into the soft fur. Her cries came like a wave, raw and trembling. You waited here, she sobbed. All alone. You waited for her, for me, for someone to come. Hope didn't move. She didn't even blink. She just stood there, strong and still, letting Angela cry it all out. Emily wiped her eyes from behind the tree. She's letting go, she whispered. Jason put a hand on her shoulder. So is Hope. Angela sat back after a while, breath unsteady. She pulled a letter from her coat pocket and unfolded it with shaking fingers. I wrote this when I found out she was gone, she said softly. I never mailed it, but I want her to have it now. She placed it in the grass beside the tree. Hope sniffed it gently, then looked up. Angela looked into her eyes. You're not just a dog, you're my daughter's voice. Hope stepped forward, laid her head gently in Angela's lap, and closed her eyes, and something shifted. The stiffness in her shoulders melted, her body relaxed. Her breathing slowed. The ache, the weight she'd carried for months, finally loosened its grip. Angela stroked her fur. You're free now, sweetheart. You did it. You brought her home. The wind blew through the trees, again, but softer now, like a lullaby. Liam tiptoed forward, placing a wildflower near the letter. This is from me, he said, for Ava. Angela pulled him close. She would have loved you, he smiled gently. She already visits me in dreams. Angela wiped her face, still kneeling, still wrapped around Hope. I think she visits Hope too. The grave didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt like peace. Hope stood slowly. She looked back at the grave, then forward toward the path. This time, when she walked, it wasn't out of duty. It wasn't out of grief. It was because she was ready. Angela stood with her. Let's go home, girl. Hope wagged her tail. Not big, not wild, just enough. And the four of them, the mother who'd lost everything, the dog who remembered, the boy who helped her heal, and the woman who listened, walked back down the path. The grave behind them wasn't just a place of pain now. It was a place of reunion, of memory, of love. And under that old oak tree, for the first time in a long time, there was no more waiting, only peace. The call came early on a Thursday morning. Emily answered on the first ring, voice half awake. Hello? This is Detective Marlowe, the familiar voice said gently. It's official. The court approved Hope's return. Emily blinked, stunned. She's coming home. She's been cleared of all evidence handling. The shelters, releasing her today. Emily sat up, the blanket falling from her shoulders. "Oh my God, Liam's going to lose it." "He deserves this," Marlowe said. So does she. An hour later, Liam was already dressed, wearing his favourite red t-shirt, pacing by the front window with a drawing in hand. One he'd made last night of him, Hope, and Ava, standing under the old oak tree. "She's coming, right?" he asked for the 10th time. "She's coming home," Emily promised. Jason cleaned the yard, trimmed the path leading to the porch, and laid down the old blanket Hope used to sleep on. Everything had to be right. When the shelter van pulled up, at noon, Liam sprinted to the porch, eyes wide, fists clenched with excitement. The back door opened, and Hope was there. She didn't walk. She ran, bandages gone, fur fuller, eyes shining, straight into Liam's arms. "You came back!" Liam shouted, laughing and crying all at once. "You really came back!" Hope barked once, sharp and joyful, and tackled him to the ground in a flurry of tail wags and wet kisses. Emily stood on the steps, hands over her mouth, tears spilling freely. "You were always family," she whispered. Jason bent beside them, rubbing Hope's back. "Welcome home, girl." Hope looked up at them all, tail still thumping. She stepped onto the porch like she'd never left, nose twitching as she sniffed the air. Then, without pause, she walked straight to the laundry room and curled up in her old corner. Liam followed her, placing his drawing on the wall above her blanket. "See? I made us a picture. That's you, and me, and Ava." Hope looked at it, for a moment, then gently rested her paw over Liam's hand. That evening, the house was filled with the sounds that had been missing: Liam's giggles, Hope's paws clicking across the floor, Jason's soft guitar strumming, and Emily humming as she cooked. No tension, no silence, just life. Hope slept at Liam's feet that night. He refused to let her stay anywhere else. "She might get scared again," he told Emily. "But I'll tell her it's okay." Before bed, he whispered, "No more waiting. You're home now." Hope let out a soft sigh, her body finally still. The next morning, the neighbours came with flowers and cards. "We heard she's back," Mrs. Daniels said. "We wanted to say, welcome home." They brought a sign for the yard. "Hero lives here." Jason hung it proudly on the fence. More cards came in the mail, drawings from children, a box of treats from someone in Ohio, even a hand-sewn blanket, with Ava's name stitched in the corner. Hope took to sitting on the porch every evening, watching the sun go down, ears twitching at every breeze, but no longer with fear. Just calm, just presence. One afternoon, Emily sat beside her with a cup of tea. "You saved more than one life, you know," she said. "You saved a whole family." Hope leaned against her leg, and Liam. Liam seemed taller somehow, more sure, more gentle. He spoke to Hope like she understood every word, and maybe she did. "She remembers everything," he once told Jason. "But she doesn't have to be scared anymore, because I remember too." One evening, Emily pulled out a photo album and added a new page. It had 3 photos: Ava and Hope under the tree, Liam and Hope in the yard, and Angela hugging Hope near the grave. She wrote beneath them, "Hope came back, not just to us, but to everyone who needed her." Jason kissed her head. "She brought us home too." The stars came out early that night. Hope watched them from the porch, her body relaxed, her eyes clear. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't waiting. She was exactly where she belonged. Sundays became sacred. Not in a church, not with hymns or sermons, but in a quiet patch of grass beneath an old oak tree. It started the first week after Hope returned home. Liam asked softly at breakfast, "Can we go see Ava today?" Emily looked at Jason, her heart full. "Yes, sweetheart, we can go." So they packed a small basket with flowers from the garden, wild marigolds and lavender, and drove to the graveyard as the sun rose behind them. Hope sat in the back seat, ears perked, body calm. She knew where they were going. When they arrived, the grave looked just as they'd left it, surrounded by toys, drawings, soft candles melted down by weather and time. Liam carried the bouquet carefully in both hands. He walked ahead of everyone, the weight of memory steadier now than it had been before. Hope followed close behind, slow and deliberate. When they reached the grave, Liam knelt gently and placed the flowers beside Ava's name. "I picked these for her," he whispered, "because she still matters." Hope stepped forward, lowering her head. Then, without being asked, she lifted her front paw, placed it on the smooth stone, and sat beside it, silent, still, proud. Emily's eyes welled up. "She always does that now." Jason nodded, like she's saying, "I'm still here." Every week, without fail, they returned. Sometimes Liam brought a drawing, sometimes a feather. Once, a button, he said, looked like it belonged to someone brave. And Hope, she always placed her paw on the grave. Always. It became something the whole town came to know. Did Hope go to the grave this week? Neighbours would ask. People started leaving little gifts for her too. A red collar with hero stitched on it, a carved wooden bone, even a tiny notebook filled with letters to Ava, each signed by children across town. One read, "Dear Ava, I hope you're playing with angels. Your dog is amazing. She's not alone. Neither are you. Angela visited every other Sunday. She never came empty-handed. A new flower, a story about Ava's favourite songs, a letter she never got to send. She always knelt beside Hope and said the same thing. She never let go of you, and I won't let go of her." Hope would lean into her, just enough. A gentle nudge, a quiet comfort. One Sunday, Liam brought a small stone he had painted himself. On it were 3 hearts, one for Ava, one for Hope, one for him. He placed it beside the others and whispered, "We remember her." Hope, as always, lifted her paw and rested it on the grave. Sometimes people would stop and watch. No one ever interrupted. The story had spread, of the dog who never left, who remembered when no one else did. But now, she wasn't remembering alone. She was surrounded. One Sunday in early spring, a little girl approached quietly with her parents. She was holding a blue ribbon. "Can I give it to Hope?" she asked softly. Liam smiled and nodded. "She'll let you." The girl knelt, tied the ribbon gently around Hope's collar, and whispered, "You're my hero too." Hope wagged her tail once. Emily watched it all and thought about how far they'd come, from that first storm, from that broken window, from the grave that held more than anyone could carry. Hope, once starving and silent, now stood tall, not just as a dog, but as a protector, a survivor, a friend. At home that night, Liam drew another picture. He brought it to Emily proudly. "This one's for Hope," he said. It showed the same grave beneath the oak. Ava's name, a tiny flower, and beside it, a dog with one paw resting gently on the stone. Above them were the words, written carefully in blue crayon, "She never forgot, and we never will." Emily hugged him tight. Hope rested nearby, eyes closed, tail twitching, in dreams. Maybe she dreamed of Ava. Maybe she just dreamed of peace. Either way, she was home. And Ava, she would never be alone again.